Tope con hello! I'm Ross from Cultaholic and welcome to all the AEW WTF moments from last night's call on Dynamite. When you sit back and think at everything we saw, it just felt like a big bastard pay-per-view, didn't it? Big bastard arena, big bastard matches, big bastard returns, a lovely, big, new bastard cage design. I love the new cage. Big bastard Wardlow, proving he is more than just a fee-fi-fo-fum big man with his lovely named finisher, the F10, because Brock Lesnar, you big nerd, it's twice as good as yours. Everything we saw just felt big in the best way possible. Fantastic episode. If you disagree with me, normally I'd say good for you, but in this case, you're wrong. WTF! One question here, how do they know? I was sat there looking at that sign thinking, I can't believe MJF, of all people, would even consider making a baby at this stage of his life. And I bet he hates kids to boot and denies he ever was one, despite the fact that lovely thing there exists. And it's happened again. For the second week in a row, my Fight TV stream went off the air. And it was nowhere as near as long as last week's blip was, and last week's blip, it wasn't long at all. And this week, we didn't miss a single thing. But I've been stood here saying to you people, if you have access to Fight TV, and you choose not to use it, you're a numpty, and stuff like that's making me look silly. 3 Cultaholic signs in the arena last night. Big thank you goes out to Saiyan Elite 1029, the homie Will, and Justin Stewart for spreading the good name of Cultaholic throughout the AEW universe. If that's a thing, next time you go to an AEW show, do what they did. The Exalted One is approaching. The Exalted One is near. We hear. Then who the bloody hell's in the back of shot in the crowd? It's only Pissing Raven. I'm going to Geordie here. It's only Pissing Raven. It's B, the man who provided, quite clearly, I thought at least, the voiceover to a really creepy promo a few weeks ago. And it's also the man who I also believe AEW want you to think is the Exalted One until Matt Hardy leaves WWE. Maybe. But the best thing about Raven's cameo here was the fact the commentators did not mention it, because by and large, AEW like to treat us fans as adults. We don't need to have every single little detail, little nuance of a storyline painted out. We saw it was Raven. We know the links are there. They don't have to mention it. It was subtle. I liked it. Cody and Matt and Nick and Kenny and Brandy and Tony like big sweaty men. And who would have thought that by tuning in to this week's AEW call on Dynamite, we would have heard a motto we can live our lives by, a phrase we can just, when we're struggling, in times of strife and trouble, we can think of this motto and everything will be okay. Live by the silly string, die by the silly string. Tony Schiavone, the year 2020. This is beautiful. And then we have good old JR Jim Ross saying the last thing I want to do is to be fighting on the floor in an over-the-top rope battle royal. Stay in the ring. You can't win out there in this environment. But crucially, Jim, in my humble opinion, as I stand here, a hack on the interweb who knows nothing about professional wrestling, crucially, yeah, you might not be able to win, but you also can't lose. When Jim said that, because I am horribly bone idle and terribly lazy, I was thinking to myself, if I was in a massive battle royal like the one that kicked off last night's call on Dynamite, I would just stay on the floor as long as possible. Let all of the other competitors eliminate each other until there's 2 left or whatever. Then I'd swoop in the ring, take down the tired bodies, and walk away with my hand held high. Less work to win a match. Boomer sooner is what I've written down there, and I'm not too sure what that means. And now we must pause this video for a moment of silence and reflection in the memory of Sammy Guevara, who was murdered brutally in the head by Matt Jackson. Now, I didn't know Sammy Guevara at all, but I did a Straight to Hell episode with him, and he was a lovely guest. He seemed like a very nice man with nice cat. And it goes without saying the thoughts and prayers of everyone here at Cultaholic are with the family of Sammy Guevara at this time. Now, I know I did it last week, but I'm doing it once again, and I will do it every single time, because I know fine well maybe that they have taken the piss out of that sort of shot on being the elite in the past. If you know where they've done it in the past, let me know, just so I can prove me point. So presumably they've taken the piss out of it, got a lot of mileage for some of that their content on the YouTubes, and now they're willingly doing it on their own wrestling show. That's some prime shithousery, that is. Now, I know fine well that Cody Rhodes is there walking Pharaoh the Dog right next to Pharaoh the Dog. But when Pharaoh the Dog appeared on the screen by himself and Jim Ross said, "That's Cody," it really tickled me, it did. Because, of course, if anything from Jim Ross's run in AEW so far has proven, we simply cannot put it past him that he actually might think that is Cody Rhodes. I'm joking, of course, I'm taking the piss, Jim, just have a laugh. And then we have Jim, who reckons that Wardlow is the man that Cody Rhodes could not scout, a man who Cody Rhodes knows nout about. And that was moments after the commentators, who had clearly done their own scouting report, told us that Wardlow can do a 5.5-foot vertical jump, or something pointless like that. Why do you need to jump that high? And also, Jim, are you seriously telling us that one of the EVPs of AEW would sign off on the recruitment of a wrestler he's never ever seen before? That's irresponsible, is it not? What sort of message are you sending out there?
Whoa, what?
And now we have what might just be the single best quote from Jim Ross's 75 years as a professional wrestling commentator. I might have exaggerated there a little bit. But he said, "How come it can't be a cake face? Why's it always got to be a pie face? Some people like cake. I like cake." Shades of Marjorie Dawes there from Jim Ross. That's a comparison I never ever thought I'd make. And at this time, I'd like to apologise for ever questioning Jim Ross's ability to still do the commentary in the year 2020 and 2019 as well. He's still got it, that line proves it, what a line. And as well as still having it, hopefully, Jim Ross, much like Marjorie Dawes, has all the cake. Even aliens hold themselves up when they know fine well somebody else wants to kick them right in the head. Why? "Nobody can beat me," she says. Well, in response to that, Nyla Rose, I say buzz off, will you? Because she was talking about bees and stuff on a promo, wasn't she? You already have been beat, man. Look at the numbers there. They do not lie. And I do not know how those numbers right there are related to sacrifice, but there we go. Shades of Jim Ross from last week, as this week Big Swole called Nyla Rose brother. And again, just like Jim Ross last week, I'm sure there was no malice meant from Big Swole in that moment there. It was just a bit of a thoughtless comment to say. I bet she calls everybody brother backstage. It's just one of those things, I think. Maybe. Just my opinion. And my opinion means nothing, so let's move on. And now it's time for this.
Wankety wank, wankety wank. Wankety wank, wankety wank. Wankety wank, wankety wank, wankety wank.
Welcome back to Wankety Wank for the first time in a while, the section of WTF Moments where you, a sexual wank faison, tweet me with a WTF moment I have missed, then I give you the credit because that's the right thing to do. Big thank you goes out to Dylan for pointing this thing out, and to be honest with you, I didn't go back and check this because 1, I couldn't be arsed, and 2, I was a bit pressed for time. But I trust this man because he watches these videos maybe. That's a good reason. And then we fast forward just about through an entire hour of the show with no real big WTF moments. Yes, we have Cody's moonsault off the top of the cage, but that's Cody Rhodes in a cage. He's got previous, he did it again. But we've got to make a WTF moment. Why is the suicide cam not used more in professional wrestling? Look at that shot there and answer that question for me because you will be struggling, I reckon. And so that was it for all your WTF moments from this week's fantastic episode of AEW Dynamite. I've been Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic, and some huge scopes coming up on the channel, not this weekend, but next weekend as well. Tama Tonga, straight to hell this weekend. NWA World Champion Nick Aldis, straight to hell next weekend. Ooh. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. And if you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can play us to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Cultaholic. Hit subscribe and join us.